It's 7 o'clock already, so we should just get started and rolling. So I have Emmanuel here. Emmanuel is going to be assisting me on this for the next 7 days. That's for the next 6 days plus today, making 7 days. Emmanuel is going to be assisting me as the moderator for this particular space. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to ask, you can just send Emmanuel a DM. Emmanuel Adioto is the co-host. You can just send him a DM and he would respond to you. Okay, so let's just get started without wasting any further time. I'm just going to start a long story. I'm just going to start a long story, and I just hope you keep up with me. Now, as I'm going to be narrating my story, like I said, how the internet and how marketing helped me and changed my life. I'm going to be talking. That's what is going to be the sole focus of my discussion tonight, and I'm going to be also kind of like picking out some points, some lessons, some life lessons as I go along. So where do I start from? I'm going to start from 2000 and that's 2001. Yeah, that's where I'm going to start from. So I'm going to start from when I actually worked in a bank. I was trying to get admission into the university, and while waiting to get admission to the university, I had to go and work in a bank. And it was actually like a community bank, what people refer to today as a microfinance bank. So I worked in a community bank, and I worked in a community bank for like 6 months. 6 months, yeah. And my God, those 6 months were not actually funny. Like, I would have to leave the house very early in the morning, then I would have to come back late at night. I would usually come back at maybe around 9 p.m. or sometimes 10 p.m., even sometimes 11 p.m. And when I get back, I would be so tired. The only thing I would be able to do is just get some food and then just go and sleep. And then you repeat the same thing over and over again. Even on Saturdays and Sundays, many Sundays, we still have to go to the office to work and do all of that stuff. So by the time I actually did all that stuff for like 6 months, it just occurred to me that, man, this is not my thing. Like, this is not the kind of thing that I think I am fit for. Like, to do with my life, like just waking up in the morning, going to the office, sitting down there. No, just occurred to that I can't do this stuff. So I didn't really know anything that I was going to do. I mean, I was just like a young guy who just left secondary school, who was just looking for admission. So I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do. I didn't have any information whatsoever. But it just occurred to me that, man, this is not what I'm going to do. So I just had that at the back of my mind while I kept on looking for admission. So I was kind of like unlucky because it took me like quite some years before I could get admission. And eventually I got admission into the university. That's the university for my state. Emmanuel, please, at any point, if I lose if anything happens, maybe my voice goes off, just let me know so that I won't just be left in the dark. All right. So um like I was saying, I got admission into the university, and initially my plan, or what my parents wanted me to study, was to study medicine. And I think I'm not the only one in that regard, because apparently when parents see that, okay, this child is brilliant, blah blah blah, then the next thing is go and study medicine, go and study law, go and become an engineer. And really, that's from their angle, from their perspective, they actually mean the best for you from what they know and understand. That was like, the real deal, becoming a doctor, becoming an engineer. Of course, those are like, very enviable careers, but then they just think that these things are just for everyone. So my parents wanted me to go and study medicine, which was part of the reasons why I tried to get into medicine for several years. The medicine thing wasn't working, so eventually I had to go for botany. In fact, it was even when I got admission into the university, that was even when I got to know exactly what botany means. I've never heard botany before in my life until the time for admission came, and that was kind of like that was the main course that I could go for, and I just went for it. So I got admitted to University of Ado Ekiti. That's the state university from my state. So I went to primary school in my state, that is in Ekiti State. I went to primary school in the same state, went to secondary school in the same state, went to university in the same state. So I'm pretty much like a full blown Ekiti boy, right? So I in 100 level when I was in school, we did all these nice courses and stuff. But at the back of my mind, I just knew that, man, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying this stuff. So, like I said before, I don't really know exactly what I was going to do, but I just knew that, man, this stuff is not going to work. It's not going to work for me. So, all right, let me just re-add somebody right here before we go, before we move on. Emmanuel,
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
okay, you are back.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you can mute yourself now. So, like I was saying, I kind of like finally got admission to 100 level, and I really got good grades in 100 level. Like, I was all there, at least trying to make things happen for myself, trying to read my books, be a good student, be a good child, all of those stuff. But while I was doing that, I started thinking about business. You know, at this point, I've never done any business whatsoever in my life. Like, just think of the smallest business ever. I've never done anything like that in my life, except for maybe when I was in secondary school and then we were selling report sheets. So, but apart from that, I've never done any business in my life. So, I was just thinking of what business can I do while I was in 100 level, and I came up with some ideas. So, even though I didn't really implement those ideas, but the ideas were just there that I came up with. So, but one thing happened. Something happened to me. I think I would say if I had to kind of like trace everything back to one event, I think it would likely be an event. I attended a it was like a kind of like a church program. I don't know, I've forgotten exactly what the program was all about, but I attended a church program. It was there was this guy, there was this really cool guy. His name was Lakon, I think Lakon Anthony. So he was just talking basically about the different opportunities in the world, how you can change your mindset, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. And somehow what he talked about really kind of like affected me, because all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I began to really see things in a different dimension, in a different perspective. So after that whole event stuff, I think he mentioned some books that you can kind of like get and read. So I what I started doing was that I became interested in those books. So he talked about Tough Times Never Last. That's by Robert Schuller. Talked about some books by Brian Tracy, some books by Zig Ziglar. So I started looking for all those books. But my main issue then was that there was no money. Okay, I didn't have any money to buy books. I mean, my pocket money whenever I leave my house, the one my parents give me would just be like 2,000 naira, and by the time you really spend on food, that's 2K a month. By the time you spend money on food, spend money on all sort of things, the money gets exhausted very fast. So there wasn't money, but there was a library there was a library in my school where I could actually like borrow some books. So you just go there, you register, and then you borrow some books. So they had a few books in there, few books from Brian Tracy, few books from Zig Ziglar. I would just go in there, whichever book that they have, I would just get the book and then just begin to read it. But in that library, the main book, the really good books, were in high demand. So usually when you go to the library, you won't really like really see some good books there unless you are kind of like very fast. So I had to go there often so that I could at least get some of those books. So I started reading. all those books, and I started really seeing a lot of things that I didn't really know before. To talking about your mindset, talking about setting goals, all of those things. Those things were basically new to me. I didn't really understand what they were all about. Then one day there was this guy that I met in that library. His name is Abe. So one day he just came, and then he came to I think I went to his room. Then I went to his room. So then I now saw a magazine with him. He was reading a magazine. I now said, look, let me see what this magazine is all about. So the magazine was about business opportunities, and the name of the magazine is called Success Digest. So that was even the first time when I would see a magazine that was about business and business opportunities. All the magazines I've been seeing up to that level were basically magazines about romance, hints. Or, there were all these magazines that that were just all over the place. They were the only ones that I knew, and the ones about news, and then the ones about hip hop and stuff. So, but this one was basically about business opportunities, and I was like, oh, so this kind of magazines actually exists. So I borrowed that magazine from him, and on this particular day, I had to read the magazine. I read every single word in the magazine. I didn't really understand a lot of the stuff that was in it, but I was just like, it was like new information, new knowledge to me. So I had to just, I was just, I went through everything. So, and that was like the first place ever that I would even know or hear the phrase make money online. Up to that moment, I didn't even know anything about make money online. As a matter of fact, it was when I was in 100 level that I started using the internet for the first time. And it was my sister who taught me how to use the internet. That day, she just kind of like took me to the cyber cafe. So, okay, this is how you browse the internet. This is how you open your email address. This is your email. This is how you do this and that. So, she taught me how to use the internet. And from there, I started using the internet more frequently. And when I now got this Success Digest magazine, there were so many information in there. They would share one website or the other. So I would basically go to the cyber cafe, and I would spend time. I would just be going through all these different websites, just seeing all this information. Many of them, like I said, were new to me. I didn't really understand it, but I was just kind of like going through it. So what happened was that in this, so later on, I began to buy this more of these August Digest magazines, and I now realized that they usually recommend all these books that they have in their store. So they will have a list of books that you can buy, business books, motivational books that you can buy, and then they will put all these prices in front of the books: 10,000, 15,000, 17,000, 20K, and I'll be like, hey, God, how on earth am I going to get money to buy all these nice books? So one day I just looked for the email of the editor. That's Dr. Sonia Obaso Ojegbashe. I looked for his email, and I sent him an email. I said, sir, I'm a student. I don't really have money to buy these books. Can you please give me a discount? Really, when I was even saying like a discount, I don't even know what I meant, because even if they should even give me discounts, I still even won't be able to buy the books. So I just said, please give me a discount so I can buy the book as a student. Maybe I was just thinking that maybe the man would just be like, okay, this is a student, let's give him the book for free. I think that was what I was thinking. But by the time the man replied, he just said, you know what? Since you are a student and you don't have money to buy the books, we have all this free information available for you. We have free ebooks, we have information on our websites, we have information on our magazines. Just feed on the free information for now and make use of them. And by the time you begin to make money and you can buy the books, you can go ahead and buy the books. So when I got that message, I was like, because I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting something like a kind of pity kind of stuff, like the way most people do. They just expect that that people will just pity them, and then they feel entitled and stuff. But the man just told me what I didn't want to hear. So I'm like, okay, no wala, let me just go on my way. So I still kept going to the cyber cafe over and over. But like I told you, like I said before, for the cyber cafe, Manuel, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. You can go on.
Okay. All right, guys. So, like I was saying before, I for the cyber cafe stuff, I still didn't really have money to really browse at the cyber cafe. Like I kept running out of cash to go to the cyber cafe. And what I just realized then was that, well, why can't I just like, I started thinking of a way to, get free access to the internet for this from the cyber cafe. So it was luckily for me, it was around that particular time that I read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I remember that I went into a bookshop. I think I went to look for Think and Grow Rich in that bookshop. And while I was just looking around for the books in there, I just saw this book lying on the shelf. It says How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think it was for like 400 naira or so. So I just kind of like purchased it immediately, and I began to read it. Dale Carnegie. That, and by the way, that's a really really nice book. That's a very good book. I would advise that you get the book, because for me, I read that book at least once a year since then, because I kept that book is just so powerful. It's one of I would probably put that book as one of the best, one of the top 20 books in my library. So I was just going through that book that time, and I started learning some few tips in there about how you can actually like persuade people, influence them, make friends with them. And what I did was that I started applying all those stuff with the guys at the cyber cafe. Before I knew what was going on, these guys, that is the cyber cafe guys who were the operators, they started giving me free time. So anytime I just go to the cyber cafe, they'll just be like, "Oh, am I here to browse? You just come, just give me unlimited access." So I would just be there like unlimited. I would just be browsing. So that's how, from the school time now, that's how I started having unlimited access to the internet, just browsing and then just doing research, doing a lot of things, just looking for information all over the place. So it was around this time too. This time around I was like in 200 level now. So one day I can't remember exactly where I came back from, but I was looking for my roommate who had the key to our wardrobe, and somebody told me, "Oh, he has gone for a seminar." So I asked the guy, "Okay, which seminar where?" He described the place for me. So I went to look for him. So I found him in this hall where where he was listening to a seminar on how to make money on the internet. And the guy who was the facilitator for this particular seminar, this guy was just like, the guy was so tiny, like the guy was so slim. He was from Lautech, so he was a medical student from Lautech. I think his name is Ola something. I can't remember his surname again, but I know his name is Ola something. So, and this guy was just there. He was just there, just dishing out information about how to make money on the internet. And like I said before, I already read some things about making money on the internet from Success Digest, but this guy was kind of like really sharing like practical information about making money on the internet. So at the end of the free seminar, this guy just said, "Okay, I'm having this advanced training. I'm having this extra training that if you really want to know how to make money on the internet, I'm going to be showing you how you can build a website, how you can do this, how you can do that." And the guy said the price for that extra training was 5,000 naira. When the guy mentioned 5,000 naira, I'm like, "Hey, God, where am I going to see 5K to attend this guy's stuff?" Because I was so sold into it. But then, where exactly was I? So I just knew in my mind that, man, I'm going to get this 5K. I don't really know how I'm going to get it, but I just said I'm going to get this 5K to attend this guy's seminar. So the only thing I could purchase from him that day was he was selling this CD. The CD, or he was selling one CD for 700 naira. The CD has about 500 books, free ebooks that he downloaded from the internet and burnt into that CD. So he was selling that CD. I just purchased the CD. That was what I could buy, and then I just started looking for where I was going to get 5,000 naira. And now this is what I believe, and I often tell somebody. So there is this adage that says, when the student is ready, the teacher is going to show up, and I really believe that stuff, because just a few weeks back, when I started like going through all this stuff and learning about business and stuff, I met one man. From the man used to work in Airtel. Airtel was called V Mobile then. So this man used to work in V Mobile, and I just met the man. I think the way I met the man was through somebody, and we were just talking about motivation, inspiration, business, and all of those things. So I met this man, and somehow I didn't even tell the man that I needed 5k, but this man just said he was investing 5k, 5,000 naira into my future. At that exact point where I was looking for 5k to attend the seminar. So the man gave me this 5k, and without thinking about it, I just took the 5k and paid for that seminar for this guy. I paid for the seminar, and the guy did the seminar. He tried his best. I think it was like about five of us attended that seminar. As a matter of fact, the seminar was even held inside the room, inside somebody's room. That was where we held the seminar. So seminar inside somebody's room. And for the training parts, for the training on how you can design a website, it now took us to the cyber cafe, and then it spent like I think an hour or 2 hours to use their system over there to show us how you can design a website using Microsoft front page. That's like an old software now. Many people won't even know what that means. Microsoft front page. So it taught us how to use it, do this, do the training was kind of fast anyway. So it taught us the stuff, and then he left. After that training, I was like, hey, Omo, I paid 5k for this stuff. Oh, how exactly am I going to make this thing work? How exactly am I going to like implement it? I didn't have a computer. The only access I have to the internet or to a computer was for me to go to the cyber cafe and work for a cyber cafe. But I now remember there was this my friend. There was this my friend. His name is Deji. So he lived in town. I lived on campus. He lived in the town, and he actually has a computer, a PC that he uses in kind of like playing games and watching movies and stuff. So I just remembered, oh, this guy actually has this computer. So what I will do is that I will leave I will leave campus with my CD. That is the CD I bought from the Lautech guy. I would leave campus. I would take my CD, and I would go to his room. So I'll just stay in his room while he's playing his game and stuff. But then during the night while he's sleeping, and then he doesn't have to use his computer, I'll just wake up, put on the computer, slide in his CD, and then one by one, I began to go through all those various ebooks that were inside that CD that I bought from the Loudtech guy. So another thing I will do during this time is that I started practicing the Microsoft front page thing that he taught us. So I'll just open his computer. Luckily for me, he had Microsoft front page installed on his computer. So I'll just open his computer, and then I was just playing with the Microsoft front page. I was just playing with him. I could only remember like because that training that the guy gave us was very fast. I could only remember like maybe 30% of what he taught us. So I would just go on his computer and then just be moving around, browsing around, just trying things. Sometimes I would go and search Google for some information. There was no YouTube back then, so I couldn't really go to YouTube and do stuff. In fact, internet wasn't even as accessible as it is right back then. So I was just kind of like just figuring the things, figuring how to use the entire Microsoft front page thing. I was just doing it. While I was doing that, I was also reading all the books that I got on that CD. Majority all the books are actually like free ebooks that were available on the internet. So I was just be reading them. This one about persuasion, that one about that. One of the books that actually made sense to me, which I now read over and over, was there was this book called How to Really Make Money on the Internet. It's an old book, right? So because the man who wrote the book, I think he wrote the book in 2004. So how to really make money on the internet. The book is like a really bulky book. I think like maybe 300 plus pages. And I read every single word of this book. In fact, not just once. I had to read it over and over because I don't really understand many things in there. I would have to read it and go through it again and go through it again. And then many of the things he was actually talking about in the books were things that were kind of like not really applicable to a Nigerian because the author was this guy called Mark. Is it Mark Grotti now from the US? So I don't really understand many of the things that he was talking about, but the ones that I knew I could understand, I picked on them, and I was just doing that. So little by little, little by little, I started to understand how this whole internet business thing works. So one of the things, so that, this was when I was in 200 level, right? Now at this point, one other thing happened to me. What happened to me was that I began to lose focus of my academics. So my grade, my grade just basically went because when I was in 100 level, I was kind of like first class with my GPA. But when I got to 200 level, the grades just started crashing because I basically started losing interest in in my studies. As a matter of fact, by the time I was my second semester's 200 level, I had my first carryover because I wasn't really focused more on the books. I was just focusing more on business and reading books and doing all of that stuff. I actually know that there was a time that people were going to prep for examinations and then they would go and be reading their books. I would go to prep. I would be reading Brian Tracy books and stuff like that. It was actually kind of like funny. So, so that was that. And um, so when I was in 200 level, or when I was in 200 level, I think the second semester now, and then my parents gave me money for my school fees. This was the first time ever that I wanted to kind of like, hey, okay, all this stuff that I've been learning about, let me even try and apply them. So I spent that school fees to run an advert. And guess what? Well, for somebody who really didn't understand what he was doing, I spent the money on adverts. My first advert, nothing worked. Nothing worked. I didn't even know what happened. Like, I didn't get any lead. I didn't get any phone call. I didn't get any sale. So the money just disappeared. So I felt bad about it. I felt bad about it, especially because that's like my school fees. But one other thing that by this time I was already reading Think and Grow Rich, right? So because in Think and Grow Rich, I read about the ghost of fears, the ghost of fear, and I learned that one of the main obstacles, one of the main things that actually gets people to not move ahead in life, to not do stuff, is because of fear. you know Fear, what is going to happen? Oh, if I do this, what's going to happen? If I do that, what's going to happen? So I knew that for me at that time, for somebody who has not been doing business, I realized in my life that, boy, if I don't really get this fear thing handled right now, it's going to get me stuck. So what I began to do was to kind of like approach that fear. And the main fear that I had in my mind back then was, especially when it comes to marketing and advertising, was me spending money for marketing, me spending money for a business. Because the same fear that most people have, oh, if I spend this money and this thing does not work, what's going to happen? So after I lost that money, that first money, that my first school fees, and nothing happened really. The only thing that happened was that now I'm owing the school a debt to be paid. That was the only thing that happened. Nothing else happened. So in 300 level again, when I got to 300 level again, they gave me money for my school fees. I think I paid the one for first semester. Again, in second semester, I tried. By this time, I thought I knew stuff about running adverts. I spent that money again to try to do some business online. And guess what? Once again, no results whatsoever. The money just disappeared. No results. So maybe you are listening to me and you're kind of like, oh, so this guy has even lost money running adverts. Well, if you actually ask most people, most big guy advertisers, I don't think there's anyone who has not lost money running adverts. It's just part of it, part of the journey, part of the process. So I lost that money again, and but by the time I lost the second school fees, the pain wasn't so much like what happened during the first time when I tried it. So it wasn't so much. I'm like, okay, well, it don't happen now. So let's move on to the next agenda. So it was also around this same time that there is this thing called MMM. I don't really, no, not MMM actually, but they called it Wonder Banks. Yeah, Wonder Banks back then. So this thing called Wonder Banks came up, and because I was just like this young guy, like many people who I didn't really understand money like that. I don't really understand a whole lot of business, because what for many people, what they just know when it comes to making money is that money, money, money. They don't really understand, like, kind of like the process. The process. Okay, what actually brings money? Many people don't understand. That's why many people fall for scams and frauds and stuff like that. And that was why I too fell for the whole Wonder Bank thing. So people were just coming, we are making money from this stuff. We are making money from this stuff. And the whole idea was that you will take your money and then you will give your money to these guys, to these people. And these people says what they said is that they were using all that money to trade forex, which was a fat big lie, right? So they'll just say, you know what, bring 50K and then wait for 1 month. After 1 month, they'll give you maybe 100K or 200K. That was like Wonder Banks. It's kind of like the same thing that fraudsters keep repeating over and over. So initially, I was kind of like reluctant to do it, but then before I knew it, many of my roommates and hostel mates started saying, this is the money they made, this is the money they got from this Wonder Bank, this is the money they got from this Wonder Bank. So eventually, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this stuff. Let's do this stuff. So I convinced my junior brother. He used to have this really cool phone. The Acer GMX something. I convinced him, boy, let's make some money. Let's make some money. So he sold his phone. He sold his phone. Then I added some money with the phone, and then we put all that money into the Wonder Bank, and we were waiting to cash out. Like we were counting, we're literally counting the days. There's gonna be money. Everybody's gonna ball. Blah blah blah. But you know what? It was at that exact point when we invested money into Wonder Bank. That was when everything came crashing. There was no money. Everything just disappeared. No money whatsoever. Everything disappeared. The guys who said they were using money to trade forex, they were liars. Many of them disappeared. Many of them ran away with the money and stuff. So my brother's phone money plus some of his school fees plus my money and all of that stuff, everything just disappeared. And I was back to square one. And I started thinking, man, I don't really think this is kind of like the best way for me to really go about this money making thing. It just occurred to me. If I'm going to actually make money, I don't think this is how this thing is going to work. I don't think that's how this thing is going to work. So what I just did was that, um, so what I just did was I just kind of like said, okay, let's move on. What next? So I went back into my marketing stuff. Let me go back to my marketing book and see exactly what we can do. So while I was doing that, I learned about. I started. Okay, okay, yeah. Before then, around this time when I was in 300 level, I learned about a book called. I think I read an article in Success Digest. So this article was about a guy called Robert G. Allen. You can write down that name, Robert G. Allen. So Robert G. Allen is this really cool direct response guy and an author. So Robert G. Allen. So the article that I read talked about how Robert G. Allen um, did this whole challenge for himself and told in the US now. So he told all these media people to take him to a new town and that he was going to make all this money within 48 hours or so. And he did that. So so the entire drama was to really promote his book anyway. So the name of the book was Nothing Down. It's about real estate. But then he now wrote another book that is called Multiple Streams of Income. So in that multiple streams of income, he kind of like shared different ways of making money. So I learned about the name of that book and I started looking for the book. And one day, while I was kind of like going out to go and eat, That was the day. It was kind of like temptation actually, because I think I had about 700 naira or so in my pocket. I wanted to go and eat. And while I was going on my way to where I was going to actually buy food, I saw this guy's book. Somebody was selling it. And I think the person was selling it for like 1,600 or so. No, I think I had 1,700 with me. Yeah. So this guy was selling the book for 8,600. And I have been looking for this book. So I just had to buy it from that guy, because I have seen the book with Socket Digest too. Socket Digest were selling their copy for, I think they were selling their own copy for like 12,000 naira. And here I am seeing this book for 8,600. Definitely the pirated copy. But I just purchased that book, purchased it. I now had 100 naira just left with me. Well, what a man go do now? I just went back to my hostel, bought gari and bought granuts, and how to do with that. But what I did again was that when I bought that book, I started thumbing through it. I was just going through it, going through it, going through it. And I came to this chapter where he was talking about infopreneuring. So I already knew a bit about what information marketing is, but this was like the first time that I was going to get a detailed step by step information on infopreneuring. Now, by the way, in case you've never heard about infopreneuring before, infopreneuring is just a wordplay between information and entrepreneuring. So it's just an entrepreneur that sells information, that is sells knowledge, is what is referred to as an infopreneur. So and the whole process is called infopreneuring. Okay, so I just there was a chapter where Robert G. Allen was talking about infopreneuring. I just basically took that chapter and read the chapter like over and over and over. To be frank, if I were to like put a number to how many times I've read that chapter, I would probably say I've read it more than 2,000 times. Because if you see the book, I think I have the book in my library. If you see the book and then you just browse to the chapter on infopreneuring, it's so dogged and so marked out. I've read it like so many times. So I read about this infopreneuring thing, how you can actually like, make money from selling knowledge, and the whole concept just like got me for the first. I was like, oh, so this is actually how this thing can work. So I started thinking, okay, if this is how this stuff can work, what information or what knowledge do I have right now, or that I can tap into and sell and make money from? But guess what? For somebody who is just like, and for a hustling student, so for a hustling student at that point, there was no information, no, there wasn't any knowledge in my head for me to sell. I mean, what was I going to sell? Am I going to start selling how? I mean, there wasn't anything to sell. So started looking out for what to do about this entire thing. Around this time, I now saw a flyer. Somebody was promoting a seminar on how you can get a job after leaving school, how you can write CVs, how you can pass job interviews and stuff and stuff and stuff like that. When I saw the flyer, I'm like, oh, how about I go and attend this seminar and even see what this information is all about? Now, the reason why I wanted to go for the seminar was not because I had plans to go and get a job. At this point, at that point in my life, I knew that once I leave school, I'm never going to apply for a job, because, like I said earlier at the beginning, my experience working at that bank just made me realize that I'm not cut out for the whole job environment, going to office, doing all of this stuff. I wasn't cut out for it. So I'm like, okay, let me even go for this seminar and see what this stuff is all about. So I went for that seminar. It was from somebody who was experienced, on how to, do job interview and all of that stuff. So what I just did was that after that seminar, I just walked to the guy and I told the guy, I said, you know what? How about we package this information and actually sell it as a book? The guy was just looking at me, I guess it was very, I mean, how was I even dressed that day? I was just dressed shabbily, like, like one hustling student. I guess he would just have looked at me like, I beg, what did this guy even talk like this? So he just said, oh, you know what? He said, okay, you know what? He said, I'm going to give you the information, but whatever you want to do with it, you can do it with it. So this guy gave me some materials about, passing job interviews, doing this, doing that, doing all of that stuff. So what I just did was that I sat down for like maybe a month or so. I now repackaged all of that information. I repackaged it into a manual. I got some too from Google, from browsing on Google. So I repackaged everything into a manual, and I think I titled it the Job Getter's Guide or something. I can't remember the name that I gave to the book. So I gave it this nice title, the Job Getter's Guide, and all of that stuff. So after I finished that book, I now started asking some of my mates in 400 level. This time I was in 400 level, so I was asking many of them, "Oh, once you leave school, do you know how to write a CV? Do you know how to do all of that stuff?" I realized that many of them didn't know anything about writing a CV or job interviews or stuff like that. So, okay, no problem. So the next thing I did was that I went back to the cyber cafe and I built a website for myself. I built a website for the job, for the book that I wrote. I built a website for it. I wrote one funny sales copy for the stuff. I think I still have that sales copy. So I wrote this sales copy book to sell the book, and I priced the book for 5,000 naira. So the next thing was to start promoting the book. I didn't have any money to promote any book because for my 400 level 2, I basically spent my money too on adverts, which didn't give me any result. So there was no money, there wasn't any pocket money, there was nothing. So the only thing I could just do was go to the cyber cafe, try to get free traffic to promote this my so-called job getting book. And I was just doing that, doing it. And I did that for like several months. And guess what? I didn't make one single sale for the book. One single sale I didn't make. So I think one day I was listening to somebody and the person was not talking about price. I've forgotten exactly who I was listening to. The person was talking about price, about how pricing can affect what you are selling. The person was saying that your price might be too low or too high and all of that stuff. So for the first time, it now occurred to me, oh, maybe many of these people that I'm actually promoting this my 5K book to, these people are kind of like people who are looking for a job. Majority of them don't even might not even actually have money to spend. So it just occurred to me, why not reduce the price of this book and even see if people are going to buy it? So I went back to the sales page. I reduced the price from 5,000 naira to 870 naira. Like a really drastic reduction in price, right? 5K to 870. And then I started blasting the promotions again. Before I knew what happened, people started buying this book. Like sales began to come in, not like a bootload of sales, but I began to make sales here and there. So I was thinking, oh, maybe so this is it's actually this price. Okay, you know what? Let me increase the price to 1K. So I increased the price to 1,000 naira. People were still buying. Interesting. So I'm like, okay, let me even increase the price to 2,000 naira. So I increased the price to 2,000 naira, and guess what? People were still buying again. So that was like, so by this time I was in 400 level. I was loaded with carryovers. Like by this time, I think I had about 5 carryovers now because I wasn't paying attention to school stuff. I mean, I was just the whole school stuff was kind of like I was tired with it. So my plan was to even drop out of the school when I was in 300 level. But somehow I just said, let me just see this thing through. So I was there when I was in 400 level, and by the time I had to go for an extra year because I had about 5 papers to write, and that was when I started kind of like going through. So it just occurred to me that, boy, you this time around, this thing that you've been working on, it has to work or it has to work. You know, so they usually talk about burning the bridge, right? Burning the bridge and doing all of that stuff. For me, I already lost interest in my academics, so my grades were really kind of like pretty poor. Some people have that power of kind of like getting their grades up and then doing business and doing all that stuff. For me, my grades were very poor because I didn't even have any interest whatsoever in academics. Even right now, I don't have any interest whatsoever in anything academics. Like it's not like it is bad or anything, but for me, that's just me. I don't. It's not something that gets my interest. So I just said, okay, you know what? Let me just focus on this stuff and make sure I win by all means. So by this time, by when I was in 400 level, my dad bought a Pentium 3 computer for me. Thank God for that computer because now I could now like do a lot of things on that computer myself. So I would just sit down with my Pentium 3 computer and then work on it. NEPA will take light. I will wait for them to bring light again. Then it will take light, and then I was just working that way. So when every other person went for service, I had to go and stay with an uncle of mine. I was staying in his house. My uncle didn't really understand exactly what I was doing. My parents didn't really understand exactly what I was doing. All they knew was that, well, this guy is just always pressing his computer, doing his computer. Nobody knew exactly what it was all about. And to be frank, me, self, I had an idea of what I was doing, but I had already seen enough. Somehow I was just convinced that this thing is something that is going to work. So I just said, man, I'm going to see this thing through no matter what it takes. I'm just going to see it through no matter what it takes. So that's why I was, I was kind of like sleeping only when there was no light. As soon as there was power to power my computer, I'm up. I was reading many books. I didn't have internet on the computer, right? So I was just basically offline. So I was just basically offline, just reading my books, just practicing my web design skills, practicing how to design graphics and all of that stuff. I was just doing all these things during that my extra year. You know, it's actually fun that my extra year for somebody who actually failed courses in school and was supposed to make up for the courses in the extra year. For my extra year too, I wasn't even going to classes because I think I went to class for like maybe 2 or 3 times because I would just be tired of what they were talking about in the class. So I wouldn't be. I would just have to kind of like rush back to my laptop or to my computer and start working again. Which is why at the end of my extra year in school, guess what? Oga failed again though. Like probably feel like three, probably feel like three papers again. So I'm like, okay, you know what? For this academic thing, I'm tired of it for now. So I'm just like, let me just pause this whole academic. So that's how I just pause the whole academic stuff. I'm like, let me focus on this internet stuff that I have been trying to do. So this was when I started doing many things. I was doing clickbank affiliate marketing. I was doing a whole lot of things, making this money, making that money over here and there. I wasn't able to drive more traffic to my job website, the one I created in 400 level. I didn't really have time to do that stuff again. But the website was still making money. It was making me like I think about 4,000 naira a month, and that 4K a month was what I would use for maybe buying food or at least surviving. Let me just call it surviving. That's what I was used to kind of like survive and do stuff. I think I only had like a pair of trousers. I think I had like three shirts. And whenever I say these things to people, they think I'm just kind of like making things up. But that's actually like my situation. I had like just a pair of trousers, had like three shirts, one phone, one computer. That was basically my life. So just my entire focus was actually making this internet thing work. And it was super frustrating because no matter what I tried, it just looked as if this entire thing wasn't going to work. Like I would try this stuff. Eventually, at the end of the month, I will see if what would still carry me was the 4K that my job website was making me. So around this time too, I met one. Around this time too, I met one other guy, yeah, Ben. His name is Ben. Ben too lost massive. In fact, Ben lost millions to those Wonder Bank thingy. So I met him. He was kind of like my colleague in suffering at this point. So both of us would suffer together. Would drink gary together, do stuff. Sometimes go for some days without any food or whatsoever. So that was that time, and that year Ben now said he was going to go back to his family because he basically ran away from his people because his people gave him all this money to invest in Wonder Banks and the all the money was lost. So he ran away from his family and after being away from them for more than 7 months and he was here suffering, he just said, well, you know what? Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Let me just go back to my family. So he said I was going to go back. And then this was like close to December that year. That was like 2000, that was in 2008. This was close to December. And for me too, I wasn't really achieving anything. My parents already told me at this point, they said, you know what? If this your thing that you're trying to do is not working, why don't you just go for your youth service and then get it and then go and get a job? Because I didn't tell my parents that I had that I failed school again, right? I didn't tell them that I failed school again. So they just said, "Okay, go for youth service and then go and get a job." And I knew that if that thing did not work, the prayer of getting a job and stuff would probably increase. So that year I was now, I mean, at that point I was now kind of I now basically like doubled or tripled my effort in researching and finding out information. So one of the things that happened to me around this time was I read a book. It was an ebook. I can't remember the name of the ebook. It was a free ebook actually. And in that free ebook, the guy who wrote the book said the reason why you have been struggling with this your online business that you're trying to make work, he said the reason why you have been struggling with it and you are not making much headway is because of lack of focus. So this guy put lack of focus in all caps, put it in a big font, and then put it in red. Said lack of focus. And he said, you are trying to do this, you're trying to do that. He basically explained exactly what I was doing at that point. Because at that point, that was what I was trying to do. I was trying to make money with articles, trying to make money with clickbank, trying to make money with CPA, trying to make money with surveys. That was basically what I was doing. So this guy said, take just one thing that is working or that can work, take just one thing and focus on it and see what happens. And man, at that point, I wasn't kind of like I was basically hungry for a solution. So it was it was there was no shackle at this time. I wasn't able to like be doing maybe I should do it or maybe I just took that information and I'm like okay, you know what? I'm just going to run with this. So I sat down. I made a list of everything I had been doing, all the stuff I've been trying, and I'm like I just want to take just one thing. So I said, what would I take? And I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to take this information marketing and basically block out the rest. So that was exactly what I did. I blocked out every other thing that I have been trying. I blocked them out, and I said I'm just going to just focus on the information marketing. So, and I focused on that. And the next thing I also realized at that point too was that one day I sat and I looked at all the big guys, especially all my teachers online that I'm following. So Eben Pagan, then in my life I was following Eben Pagan, Jimmy D Brown. Like, what are these guys doing? And it occurred to me that what made it easier for these guys to be selling was they all had an audience to sell to. They all had a list to sell to. But for me, I asked myself, do I have any list? Well, the answer is no. I didn't have any list. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to focus first on building a list. I told myself, I'm going to focus first on building a list. So that was in that was in November 2008. And I created a website, a small website to build a list. So I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money to do any advertisements. But this time around, I was kind of like I wasn't in campus again. I was in town now. But guess what I did? I went to the cyber cafe where I was working from, and I went there and I made friends with the attendant there, and the lady began to give me free time to browse at that cyber cafe. So I was there, and then she would just give me free time to browse. And so what I would just do is that she wasn't giving me like unlimited anyway. She would just give me like 2 hours free to browse. So what I would do is that I would go to the cyber cafe, and for that 2 hours, I would sit down and I would be like, okay, you know what? I want to do one, two, three, and until I'm done with one, two, three, I'm not going to open my email or open any other stupid website or blog. I will just focus on this work that I've come here to do and do it first. So my focus, when hunger don't knock person well, your focus will be as sharp as anything. So at this point in my life, my focus was very, very sharp. Like anything that would cause any distraction, whatever, I'm not doing. So my focus was build a list. That was my sole focus. Build a list. And how do I build the list? Every day I have to go to the cyber cafe for 2 hours. I have to post stuff on forums. We used to have forums back in the day, online forums. I have to go to all these online forums. I have to participate there, promote my website so I can build my list. So that was what I did throughout December 2008. And at the end of that month, my list was already about 500 plus. About 500 plus people already subscribed to my email list. I wasn't selling anything to them. The thing was that I just joined my email list and then I was sharing some bits of information with them and stuff like that. So January 2009 came in. Yeah, well, guess what? Baba was still struggling because the only thing I had was a list now, but my focus was so intense, right? I wasn't doing many stuff again. So in that January 2009, a friend of mine who just left school too, the guy wanted to do his clearance, but this guy was owing school fees. I was owing school fees too anyway, but I wasn't doing clearance. But he wanted to do his clearance and he was owing school fees. It was I think he was owing like 135,000 naira that he had to pay to the school before he can go and do his clearance. So the guy was just talking about it, and he was talking about it was like he doesn't know where to get the money, blah blah blah. And and I said, you know what? Let me try something. Let me try something and raise the money for you. The guy was just looking at me somehow like raise the money for you. Not be both of us who are soaking Gary here. So I'm like, don't worry, let me just try something. So and what I did was that I'm like, okay, I actually have this list. Let me even see if this my listing that I have been focusing on building is actually going to work. So unlike right now, unlike today, when when people can just go to expertnaire and pick a product and promote to their list, there wasn't any Nigerian websites, affiliate websites for me to go there and actually pick a product and promote to my list. There wasn't anything like that. The only affiliate platforms were the ones that were not based in Nigeria, Clickbank and stuff. So which Nigerians couldn't actually buy from all those websites. So the only thing I could do was to create a product and sell to the people that I had on my list. So what I just did at that point in time was that I created a product. I created a product that was based on what I learned from that my 4,000 naira job websites. So I created this product and I also designed a sales page for it because, as you know, I now know how to use Microsoft Front Page to design a website. So I created a website for it. I think I did all of this stuff within 2 days. Yeah, I created the product and wrote sales copy, designed the website for it. I did all of this stuff within 2 days, and I sent out an email to the people on my list. Like, okay, you know what? I just created this product. It talks about this, talk about that, and then I sent it out to the 500 plus subscribers that I had on my list. I think I was selling the book for 3,750 or something like that. Yeah, and I got my hands crossed. Let's see what happens. So the next thing I knew was that I think around 3 p.m. or so, I just checked my email. The first sale dropped. Interesting. Before I knew it, the second sale dropped. Anyway, to cut a long story short, within 3 days, I was looking at 200,000 for the first time ever in my for the first time ever of me doing online business. I was looking at about 200,000 in 3 days. So I just withdrew 135,000 and I gave the money to my friend. And the guy was so surprised. He was like, how did you get this money? I'm like, don't worry, don't worry. So he took the money, went to pay for whatever he wants to pay for. But it also gave me the idea that number one, focus. Focus changes things. Focus just takes you and gives you amazing results. That's number one. Then number two, having a set of people that you can sell to ready all the time is just fantastic. I learned that stuff too. And then number three, I didn't really know I could actually make that much money so fast like that. So, well, guess what? More sales came in actually. More sales came in from that campaign. Eventually, we had to increase the price of the product. And this guy who didn't actually have, that's me, who didn't actually have clothes to wear and stuff, I went out, bought clothes, bought some shoes for myself, did all of that stuff. And I also started marketing. So I now started looking for people who can help me promote the stuff. So there was this guy that I had been seeing his adverts online. His name is Joe Koro. So I've been seeing his ads online promoting stuff. So I sent him an email. I'm like, okay, Joe, you know what? I have this product that is really performing very well. Would you like to promote this product to your email list and get 50% commission from doing it? And the guy said, oh, so the guy checked out the website. I think he liked it. And like, okay, you know what? I would like to promote it, set it up. So I set up a way for him to promote that my product and get 50% commission. And we had to kind of like track it using email and stuff. And Joe began to promote my product. But do you know the funny thing that happened? The funny thing that happened was that Joe was this guy who had my email list was just like 500 plus subscribers, right? Joe's list at that point was about 10,000 subscribers. So what happened when Joe sent an email to my website was that my site basically crashed because the bandwidth of my site was very small. I didn't really know that Joe was going to send that much traffic. So Joe sent a lot of traffic to my website. Within 3 hours or maybe even an hour, the site crashed. I just saw my phone ringing. Joe was calling me. What is going on? What is going on? I am sending all this traffic to your website, and people are saying that they can't access the website. What is going on? Immediately, I went online and I saw bandwidth exceeded. Oh my goodness! I began to call the hosting providers. I began to call the hosting providers. I was hosting the website with one Nigerian company. I called them, and luckily for me, they were able to kind of like add some extra bandwidth to it. But that was like maybe after like 7 hours. By that time, Joe was like very frustrated and tired, and so some other sales came in anyway. But I learned my lesson too there that, man, if you want to do business, you've got to actually do business. So that was the last time ever that I used a website that had low bandwidth. So I never tried that bullshit again. So anyway, more sales came in for me, but not just more sales. I also got many people to kind of like sign up to my email list because there was a form that people could actually fill if they don't even want to buy. There is a pop-up that can actually fill if they don't want to. So I got some people to actually kind of like fill in the form, and then they got into my email list. So basically, overnight, my email list went from 500 subscribers to about 2,000 subscribers just because of that JV with Joe. So that was kind of like, for the first time, this actually cemented my confidence. This cemented my confidence in the online business thinking because I now saw, oh, this thing can actually work. This thing can actually make me a living. So started playing around with it, doing more stuff around. So 2009, I was making all this money, but basically I was just spending all the money. And then one mistake that I did that in that year, in that 2009, was that I basically allowed my email marketing software to expire, and I didn't renew it. I can't remember the reason why I didn't do that. I didn't renew it. Maybe it was because, okay, I think it was because of access to credit card. Because back then over here in Nigeria, for you to actually have access to a card that you can use in making an online payment was really very difficult. So I think that was why the thing expired. But guess what happened? All my subscribers also vanished with it. So my subscribers vanished with it. Here I am back to square one, right? No subscribers, no email lists, nothing. Even the money that I was making, I was basically spending the money, so it wasn't as if I had any big amount of money in the bank. I was really back to square one. So in December 2009, I'm like, oh boy, what are you gonna do again? I'm like, okay, how about you do exactly what got you the money in the first place, which was build a list of people who are interested in something and sell stuff to them. So, but this time around, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do this stuff using free traffic anymore because free traffic is kind of like really, really slow, and so time consuming. You have to go and do all of that stuff. I'm not going to do free traffic again. This time around, I want to use paid ads to drive the traffic because paid ads is going to get me traffic very fast. So, I have been studying Google AdWords by this time around, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to use Google AdWords. I'm going to use Google AdWords to try this stuff out. So I also wanted to kind of like set a fire. I want to set a fire under my ass. Like I wanted something that would really push me to get the stuff done. So there is this thing by that Gary Herbert kind of like used to talk about. He calls it gun to the head. He says gun to the head strategy. So that's kind of like if you had a gun pointed at your head, or you had a gun pointed at the head of somebody that you love, and they said, "Boy, you've got to make this thing work. This thing has to work, or else we're gonna pull the trigger." What exactly are you gonna do? So sometimes I like to kind of like put myself in that in that atmosphere, in that gun to the head atmosphere. Like this thing just has to work. So, and that was what I did. January 2010. I'm like, okay, you know what? I have to make this thing work. So, and for me to do that, I borrowed money from somebody. So I there was this man I told him. I said, you know what? Can I just get a loan of 50K from you? And I said, if you give me this 50K over the next 3 months, I'm going to give you 150K back. The man really, he didn't really believe me anyway. Actually, I didn't really believe myself. So, but the man gave me the money. He gave me the 50K. He said, you know what? Just return the 50K. I don't even need the extra money. Just return the 50K. So I got the 50K. I used this money to set up a new campaign from scratch. But this time around, I was beginning to understand exactly how making money, especially how making money online works. I had some good, brilliant idea about how to build funnels and stuff. So what I did was that I built a really super simple funnel, which still works till today if you use it very well. And the funnel is actually simple. So the way the funnel works is that you have a squeeze page where you offer something for free. Basically, it has to be something that your leads are interested in, so they just come to that opt-in page, they opt in for it. And then once they opt in for it, what you do is that you show them a really enticing offer. So it's called a one-time offer. It has to be an offer that has a deadline. So, but the offer has to be really, really enticing. That's it. It has to be very, very enticing. Something that they can just pay for immediately. So that was basically the funnel. A lead generation page and an OTO page. It's called an OTO page. So many people make all this mistake with the OTO because they just put anything on the OTO page. No, that's not how it works. The OTO has to be an offer that is so damn hard to refuse. So I had this my OTO page, and by the way, it took me about 2 weeks for me to come up with an offer that was so irresistible for me to put on that OTO page. So I had this offer on the OTO page, and I began to drive traffic from Google AdWords. So I would spend about $20 a day. Back then in Naira, I think that should be around how much now? That should be around 4,000 Naira or so. So I would spend 4,000 Naira on Google AdWords, driving traffic to that page. And right from day one, like right from the very first day of driving traffic to that site, to that page, the OTO was selling an offer for just 2,500 Naira. The OTO was just converting like crazy. It was converting like the OTO was giving me like 10% conversion. So basically, what it means is that my 4,000 naira that I was spending on Google AdWords was giving me about 100 to 120 leads. but 10% of them would land on that OTO, and 10% of them, that's like 10 of them, would buy the offer that I have on the OTO page. They would buy it for 2,500 naira, and that's how that campaign just basically turned to a campaign that I was using to change 4,000 naira to 25,000 naira. So that's like it's like, you invest 4K in something, and guess what? This thing spits out 25K for you. So, but I was so dumb, like I'm, I'm so dumb, like, man, you actually have this money minting machine. Was I not supposed to kind of like really pump it and push it? But I was like, I was like a small boy, a small boy in my small town. No, I was just making this good amount of money, and I really felt okay with it. And I basically spent $20 a day. That is like 4,000 naira a day on Google AdWords. I did that stuff for 6 months. Like, I didn't even increase the amount I was spending. I kept spending the same 4K. So I didn't run the ad 30 days a month because of some other issues. I think I probably ran it for like maybe 18 days or so in a month. But what happened was that after 3 months, I was able to go back to this man who loaned me the money, and I was like, "Oh, sir, you can have the money back." And the man was basically surprised because I was like, "Oh, how?" I gave him his 150K back, and at that point, this man now said, "Okay, you know what? How about I loan you 300K?" Said, "I don't need it. you can keep you can keep your money, because he wants to loan me 300K so that he can come back and collect maybe 900K back." I said, "You can keep your money." So, but this was like my first fantastic campaign. This was the campaign that I did that that's actually gave me the idea that, man, you can basically mint money. You can basically print your money online, because within the space of 6 months, I think I built an email list of 10,000 subscribers, and then I was making all this money. Although eventually, after 6 months, Google banned me. They banned my account. I tried many ways to kind of like revive it. They kept banning all the accounts. I couldn't run any ad again on Google. But by this time, I had an email list of 10,000 subscribers, and all I just began to do from then was to just send offers to my email list over and over. Emmanuel, I've been talking for a long period of time now. I don't even know.
Yeah, yeah,
Can you still hear me? Uh,
yeah.
okay, thank you very
I
much.
can hear you.
You are
Yeah,
like
clear.
my so I don't want to put too many people on in the speaker mode because of the whole noise that comes along with many people trying to switch on their microphone and stuff. Okay, thank you very much. So like I was saying, at this point I realized that if you know how to if you master the art of turning paid ads into profits, you can basically print money anytime you want. Because check it out. In fact, at that point online, I think we only had Google AdWords. Then Facebook was just coming up. Then we had Yahoo. There wasn't even a lot of places where you could advertise online. But I just knew that if you can just master this stuff, you are going to be able to just wake up, go online, do some stuff, run some funnel, run some ads, and basically make money. Like, and I started putting in more effort into mastering exactly how to do that. So, but at that point in time in my life too, I realized that my mindset was too narrow, was too narrow. Like I said, I was staying in this my small town where I couldn't really see far. I couldn't really see far. I wasn't able to really think big and do the things that I would like to do. So one day I just realized that if I should stay in that town and not move, I was going to just be at the same level. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I just packed my bags, and then I moved to Abuja. So I moved to Abuja. I went to Abuja to stay with somebody actually in Abuja, because I didn't know anywhere. I've never been to Abuja before. I just went there for the very first time in my life. So when I got to Abuja, I set up my system. I started learning. I think I spent a year in Abuja, and I would say that throughout that 1 year that I spent in Abuja, I spent majority of it just learning new stuff. So I learned about, then Facebook ad was coming up. Started learning about Facebook ads. Started playing around with it, starting to see how it works. And then around this time too, I started going into other markets. So one of the markets that I tried to go into, because it just occurred to me that, well, do you really know this stuff? I asked myself, do you really know this stuff? Well, if you know this stuff, can you go into other markets and try this stuff and see if it's going to work? So I'm like, okay, let me go into other markets. So one of the markets that I tried was the weight loss market. So I was in Abuja, and then I basically created a campaign for weight loss. Created a campaign from scratch for weight loss, and I was work, and it wasn't really working that well. I was promoting it on Facebook. Back then, promoting stuff about weight loss on Facebook was like smooth. There wasn't any problem. And I was promoting this stuff on Facebook. The conversions wasn't so, the conversion wasn't bad. Like, I was making my ad money back, but I wasn't really making like really, really good money, super good money. I was just struggling with it, but it made me realize that I still had a lot to learn when it comes to conversions and sales copy and marketing, all those kind of stuff. So I started and I began to kind of like, learn more about these things. And one of the materials that I think helped me then was this material by Franken. I think somebody told me about Franken. I can't remember who that person is, but somebody mentioned Franken. So I went online, searched for Franken, and I got to know that Franken has back then he has this course called Mass Control. It's an old course, but still highly valuable. So I got the Mass Control by Franken, and I went through Franken's Mass Control. In fact, I only went through Module One. As a matter of fact, up to today, I don't even think I've gone through the other modules. I only went through Module One of Mass Control, and when I went through that Module One, instantly I knew exactly what I had to do to maximize and blow up my conversions. So what I just did was that I went back to my weight loss campaign, and I really applied some of the things I learned from Franken to revamp it. And all of a sudden, the same prospects that I have had all these days that were not really buying and stuff, all of a sudden they were just buying like crazy. So at that point, I just realized that, man, I've got to move to Lagos, because there wasn't so much internet marketers in Abuja. I'm like, let me move to Lagos where I can at least mix with other guys, share ideas and stuff. So I knew Akin Labi, I knew my friend Ronald Nzimora. I'm like, okay, let me just move to Lagos and go and meet all these people so that at least we can be talking and sharing ideas. So that's how I moved to Lagos. That's how I moved to Lagos. After spending a year in Abuja, I moved to Lagos. So I moved to Lagos, started studying, started kind of like figuring Lagos out, doing some other stuff. And at that point, that was when I now wanted to start a sports betting website. So Akelabi was the one who gave me the idea. I said, why not start a sports betting website? So I'm like, okay, let me start a sports betting website. So I put together the plans, and I got this company from Cyprus to help us set up the sports betting website. But the I had some issue with funds. The company that had to set up the sports betting website said they gave me an offer that I had to take up within 30 days and pay discounts. But with that offer, I was in need of like I think 3 million, 3.5 or something, or so 3.5 million for the website. So there was nobody to kind of like call and say, okay, you know what, please give me a loan of 3.5 million. I had to raise the money myself. So, but the good thing was that at this point in my life, mastered, I had mastered the art of turning paid ads into money to some extent. In fact, I was even teaching people at this point. So, at this point, I had this program. The program is called, I call this QCC. QCC actually means quick, crazy cash. It was just this funny idea that I came up with, but it was basically about how you can use paid ads to sell information products very, very fast online. So that was what the program was all about. So I'm like, okay, how about I use exactly what I'm teaching people in this QCC to raise this 3.5 million within 30 days. And that was basically what I did. In the space of 30 days, I set up a new business entirely in a new market. I called it Uncle James. In a new market, it's a market for men's health and sexuality. That was what the market was all about. I set up a new market entirely from scratch, and within 30 days, I was able to raise 3 points. I eventually raised like 3.6 million. So we're able to pay for the sports betting website, and that was how I got my sports betting business started. So my sports betting business started, and to be frank, it was like that was the sports betting was still kind of like new to Nigeria back then. I think apart from Naira Bet, 1960 Bet, maybe Bet Niger, one other site called I've forgotten their name, maybe Nigeria Bet or something. Apart from those few sites, there wasn't a lot of sports betting websites in Nigeria. So we launched our own sports betting platform. We called it Bet Bigates. So we launched it, and one of the things I realized is that, man, people who bet on sport, I don't even understand. People just like free money. Anyway, let me just say that. That's why the gambling and the betting business is always going to thrive. People love to get something for nothing end of life. Because back then when I was running my sport betting website, before I even wake up in the morning, people have gone to fund their accounts with money to bet. Like you don't even have to say come and fund your account. They basically go and do that all by themselves, fund their account with money. And that period of time, to be frank, I kind of like lost focus on marketing because I didn't even have to do much marketing. All I had to do was just run some ads on Facebook, and people would just come and fund their accounts. And if you know the way sport betting works, or even any gambling stuff, for example, for that matter, the way it works is that people bet, and then some a small percentage of them win, and the rest of the money goes back to the house. The house gets to keep the rest of the money. So for our website back then, I think we're really keeping like 60% of the funds that people come to pay. So we were keeping like it was like almost free, enjoyable money. So that went on for until 2015, when we had some government issues. So we had some government issue and with the whole business. So eventually, I had to shut down the sport betting business that we created. So we shut it down. There was so much lesson to learn from all of that stuff, and I'm now back to square one. So I think it was around this time when okay, no, before I even set up my sport betting website, I did something. I was an affiliate for NairaBet. So many people don't even know this part of sport betting websites. You can actually be an affiliate for many sports betting platforms, whereby all you are just doing for them is that you are helping them to get users. And when you get users for them, they pay you a percentage on all the profits they make from that user. So, and I don't think right now many sport betting platforms even do this thing like a lifetime. So if you bring a user to them right now, as long as that user playing, keeps playing, and losing money on stuff, although they will win money too, right? So if they win money, you don't get anything, but if they lose money, you get a cut of it. So I used to be an affiliate for NairaBet before I even started my own sport betting website. And I was making about 200K. We're making about 200K, 300K doing that stuff. I think I did it just for like 6 months anyway. I didn't do it for a long period of time. So when everything now came crashing down, talking about my sport betting website, well, guess what I had to do? I had to go back to my I had to go back marketing, to my marketing books. I had to go back to my marketing books. I had to go back to my internet marketing books. I had to go back to my direct marketing, information marketing, all of those stuff. I had to go back to that stuff. So started doing all of that stuff. Then that was kind of like I now had to set up an agency, an agency with my friend Ronald. So we set up an advertising agency, and I think our biggest client was NairaBet. So we were running adverts campaigns for NairaBet, and this is actually one of the things that you can do when you know how to run adverts online. If you know how to run ads online, one of the things you can do is that you can basically approach businesses and sign them up as clients and help them promote their businesses online, and then they pay you. So for the kind of agency that we were running, we were getting about 15% of the total advertising fee that these clients were using to run adverts online. So for example, now let's say a client spends a 1 million naira on ads, we would get 150K of that money. So that's kind of like how the our ad agency work. There are different ad agencies anyway, social media and stuff, but it can be as simple as you just knowing how to run Facebook ads, and then you basically approach businesses who want to get more customers and help them run and help them advertise their businesses or on TikTok or on Pinterest or on Instagram or any of these things. So the cool idea that we used to use is that we will look out for businesses that are already advertising. Okay, we don't go and try to turn somebody's mind and say, oh, don't come and advertise online. We actually look out for people who are already advertising. So what we will now do is that we now approach them and say, okay, you know what, we can actually help you to make your adverts better. We can actually help you to get better results with your advertising. And that's the approach we use, because it's easier to convince someone who is already advertising, who is already spending money to advertise their business, than trying to persuade people who don't think advertising is important. I'm not saying you can't do that, but it's easier for you to persuade someone who is already spending money on advertising to basically spend more money and, of course, get more results. So when you go to all those clients and then you show them your results, you show them what you can do for them, you will be able to, get them to kind of like sign up with you as a client. And that was how we basically signed up many of these clients, and we started running the whole advertising agency thing, which we still run it right now. But even right now, we are beginning to kind of like extend to more foreign clients. So in that same 2015, when I started my sport betting website, that was like the very first time that I set up the first version of expertnaire. Yeah. The fourth version of Expire was actually in 2015. So I set it up in 2015. But the problems that we had then was that in Nigeria, online payment solutions weren't so robust. So it was so difficult for many people to actually pay online, and it didn't allow the system to thrive. The system couldn't thrive because of all of that. So it didn't really work. 2015, 2016, I had to pull it down. It wasn't working. So after all of that, in 2018, I was like, by 2018, we now had Paystack, we now had Flutterwave, we had Simple Pay. So I was like, okay, let's even try this stuff again. So I put together a new plan entirely and worked with it with our programmer, and then we set it up in 2018, and we began to push it in 2018, and little by little, little by little, it began to work bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. And like I tell people, because some people I have this issue about some of our courses. So when we launched Expert 9 in 2018, the issue we had was that many Nigerians didn't know how to sell online, which was surprising for me, because left to me, I thought that many people would have learned how to sell online. It just occurred to me that many people didn't even know that there is such a thing as selling online. I'm talking about Nigerians now. Many Nigerians here didn't even know anything about selling online. So when we now said, okay, you know what, you can actually sell product on Expert Near, they'll be like, how? How exactly do I do this? So that was why I now had to start training people on how to sell online. Like after creating Expert Near, we now have to now create trainings. So this was when I created the 72 IG product. I created the 72 IG course to start teaching people how to sell online. And little by little, people started taking the course, and then they began to learn how to sell online. And the thing is that there are so many ways to actually sell online. There are many methods of selling online. For example, now if you are doing e-commerce and stuff, like you are selling using Shopify and doing all of that stuff, your mode of selling online will probably be different from somebody who is selling courses or selling masterminds and all of that stuff. So for me, from what I have said so far, so that I have been I've been into basically selling information products, selling digital products. That's kind of like my expertise. What I have been selling all this while, and the easiest funnel or the easiest process that I have seen that I still use that is still effective, that will continue to be effective, is just that you build an audience of people who are interested in what you want to sell, and you basically market what you want to sell to what you have and what you have. You basically market your offer to them. It's as simple as that. Because people try to make this process, they try to make it complex. It shouldn't be a complex method. I have sold in all sort of markets. I have sold to the forex markets, sold to markets on weight loss, sold to markets in men's health, sold to markets about make money, sold to markets about breast enlargement, a whole lot of markets. And in many of these markets, I basically use the same method. I build a list, I build an audience of people who are interested in the kind of product that we have to offer, and then we offer what we have to them. That's basically what I do. And it works. And it works all the time. It works all the time. In fact, right now, I still use that same. When I was even the way I even launched my sports betting website is that I'm a Chelsea fan, right? So what I did was that I built an email list of Chelsea fans, and when we were launching our sport betting website, I just sent out an email to them. Okay, guys, you know what? We have this sport betting website and all of that stuff. That was how we launched the sport betting business. We just built a list, promoted it to people who are kind of like interested in it. I use the same process over and over again, and it works. Just that people try to make it, they try to make it complex. Some people would even say maybe it is too simple. Well, I don't think it is. I don't think it's actually like plain simple, but it's something that anyone. I like to say anyone with half a brain should be able to do it. So, um, I started teaching that same process to people. You know, my main traffic source up to maybe up to last year has been Facebook. So I started using Facebook for adverts online. Started using Facebook in 2011, and Facebook has been sending us loads and tons of traffic across different niches. I have mentioned the different when I was promoting sport betting, we were promoting massively on Facebook. Facebook until about 3 years ago, Facebook allowed us to actually run our ads on sport betting on their platform. So we were running ads on sport betting, running on different niches, and Facebook was performing very well. As a matter of fact, when I started using Facebook, I think Facebook only had about 5 million. Was it? No, I think the Facebook only had about 3 million Nigerians on it. That was back in um back in 2011. So, but right now, Facebook now purchased Instagram. So when you now combine Facebook and Instagram, you now have access to a lot of to mega traffic basically. So now we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have YouTube, we have TikTok, you have Snapchat in there. You have all these various advertising platforms that you can use to drive traffic and market stuff. So that was how. So when we launched expertnaire, I was using Facebook. I thought people, okay, this is how you use Facebook. This is how you use emails, and this is how you sell to people. And it worked really fine. It was working very fine. So WhatsApp was there. I wasn't selling on WhatsApp, but along the line, some guys came in who were basically getting some good results selling on WhatsApp. So when they came, and I'm always open to ideas. I'm always open to things. So to learning new things. That's just the thing. I'm always open to learning. So when these people came up and they were like, okay, we're actually using WhatsApp to do this and do that and do that. I sat down and I learned the process from them. And I'm like, okay, oh, so because when I launched 72 IG initially, when I launched our course on selling online initially, I would tell people, I would say, you know what, you are going to need a laptop to sell online. But when I began to learn about selling online with WhatsApp, it occurred to me that you don't really need a laptop to sell online. You can basically do a whole lot of the selling using just your phone. So, which was why I now created another program which was explaining how you can sell using just a combination of WhatsApp plus the traffic you get from social media. And that those two combination, social media plus WhatsApp, is just this really powerful combination that right now is working like gangbusters, and you can use it to basically sell anything. Real estate, man, you can close like awesome deals using a combination of social media and WhatsApp. And basically, the way it just works is simple. You use social media to get leads. Okay, social media, Facebook, Twitter, all of those stuff. You use social media to get leads. You bring them to WhatsApp, and then you close the leads on WhatsApp because WhatsApp is a fantastic closing tool. It's a fantastic closing tool once you learn how to use it. So many people started coming and then they were using WhatsApp to sell. And right now, I have seen people use WhatsApp to sell all sorts of things. So I have a friend. She sells clothes, women clothing, bags, shoes, all those kind of stuff. So she had about a list of 1,000 contacts on her WhatsApp. She got those 1,000 contacts Instagram, from Instagram. And when I saw her, she was making about a million, 1.5 million a month in profits doing that stuff. So, and I told her, okay, since you are getting all this stuff from Instagram, why don't you actually run adverts and get more leads? Because if 1,000 contacts are making you this much money, why don't you increase it? So that's what she did. She basically ran some ads. I think she spent about $40 or so. She ran ads and then she grew that list of hers, grew it to 3,000 plus on her WhatsApp. I was talking with her last week, and guess what? She says she made about 3.5 million the previous month because now she now has like more people to sell to. So anyway, I'm actually kind of like digressing. So the main topic of this spaces is about how the internet and the marketing changed my life. And to be frank, I don't really know what I would probably be doing right now if not for the internet and if not for access to marketing knowledge that I've had. So when I began to learn about marketing, I basically went into it because why did I do that? I did that because I now had an understanding of how money works and how money comes into it. So Gary Halbert has this fantastic newsletter where he was talking about money. So in economics, they say money is a means of exchange. Like you want a phone, you use money, right? You want this, you trade by barter. I give you this, you give me that. So that's basically money. You provide value, you get money in return. That's basically how money works. So money, because many people, I'm just saying that because it's a basic understanding that actually got me to learn money. So when I realized, it just occurred to me that if you really want to make money, what you should do is just two things. Number one, learn how to find the kind of value that you can provide to people. Then number two, learn how to sell that value to them. Now, when I say value, I'm just talking about what you are offering. Okay, it might be maybe a product or maybe a service, whatever. So that's like the value. The next thing is selling it. So those two parts are kind of like important. It's not just enough for you to have that value, it's also important for you to sell it. As a matter of fact, it's important for you to sell it to a lot of people if you want a lot of money. So Gary Herbert made me understand that money comes when you take some value and then you sell it. That's basically how money works. So you can just think about it. You can think about any legal business, any legitimate business that you know of, and you are going to see that any business whatsoever that you know about, they make money by offering something, like by offering something of value. Think of any business whatsoever that you think of. Like you can think of Facebook offers advertising services. Facebook, Google, YouTube, Snapchat, they all offer advertising to businesses. That's what they sell. You go to Amazon, what do they offer? They offer different goods that you can buy. You go to any bookshop, they offer, even countries have to sell commodities and goods. Nigeria sells crude oil. We sell agricultural products. We sell gold. Sell some other stuff. We offer all this stuff, and that's how you make money. And the more stuff you can sell, the more money you can make. Because some people have been coming online, especially when some expatriate athletes have been sharing their income, and some people will come online and be like, how can a young guy be making all this money, blah blah blah. It's just possible because the internet is huge, man. The internet is big. And with the internet, anybody whatsoever, anybody who has a good understanding of marketing and sales can basically take their phone or their laptop or whatever and take something like an offer and market it to a large number of people because they can access all these people from their device. And that is why anybody from anywhere can just pick up their phone, pick up their laptop, and make a lot of money online, offering stuff. So I learned that stuff. I had a good understanding of it, and that was why when I was writing my there's this book that I wrote in 2014. It's called "How to Become a Life Breathing Cash Machine." It's basically about some of what I've been talking about. It's basically about how I learned about money, how I learned about selling, how I was able to change my mindset. These are the things that you're going to learn in that book. So I wrote that book, and one of the things I actually emphasized on in that book is actually about how money gets to be. How is money created? So money is not like what is created by somebody going to the CBN to go and print money and all of that stuff. Money is basically money comes when you have something of value and you can exchange. And the good thing is with the internet is that I learned is that with the internet you don't even need to actually have something of value to offer. You just need to know somebody or know a company that has something of value that you can sell. So it boils down to the idea that the basic thing that anybody needs to make a lot of money online or promote your business is just know how to sell online. Because if you know how to sell online, I don't know what your product or service is all about, but as long as what you are offering is something that people want, maybe it's about car repair, or maybe it's about music production, or it's about food production, or it's about movie production, or it's about travel, or it's about labor, or it's about medical supply, or whatever it is. The basic thing is that once you just know how to sell online, or you have somebody who can do that stuff, because you might not know how to sell online, but you might have a partner or you might be able to work with somebody who knows how to sell online. Then all you have to do is sell. And if you happen to know how to sell online, but you don't actually have something that you can sell, then at that point all you have to do is find people who already have value. And like I tell people all the time, today, we have several businesses online who have products. In fact, they have fantastic products. They have cool software, cool services online. But many of these companies are poor when it comes to marketing. And that's actually where you come in. because with your marketing skill, you can basically go to many of these companies and help them sell. So when I realized this truth, when I realized this truth, I thank God for Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. There was a paragraph in that book, in that Rich Dad Poor Dad, where he said the most important skill when it comes to money is the skill of marketing and selling, marketing communication. He wrote something like that in a paragraph in that book. So, and when I actually saw that part, I basically took it and ran with it, because that was what actually got my interest in marketing ignited. And that's why I invest a lot in, learning about marketing, learning about sales and marketing and this, because for me, I now realize that if I can sell stuff, and when I say stuff now, it might even be ideas. You can when you know how to sell, you know how to sell. It's not just about selling an information product or selling. When you know how to sell, you know how to sell. You might even be selling ideas. You might even be selling air. But when you know how to sell, you know how to sell. So when I knew how to sell, I basically went into it, and then, of course, thank God for all of the results. And right now, that's actually how I got to be where I am. So I've said a whole lot of things tonight, and to be frank, if I just have to kind of, like, basically summarize what I have said so far, you are going to see from my story that it has not been easy. It has not been an easy journey. It has not been an easy journey. For those of us who kind of like had to start up and operate in Nigeria, especially do business online in Nigeria, especially starts in all those years back, it has not been an easy process, because you are just been everything has just been so difficult. Like, from power supply, from the internet that has been very, very poor in past years. Right now, it is now improving, but it used to be really, really bad with the internet. And then payment, you trying to pay online, or you trying to receive payments online, it has been really, really frustrating. Like, for example, now PayPal, until recently, PayPal didn't even allow Nigerians to use their service. So, but even right now, you can only use PayPal to pay. You can't even use PayPal to receive. And so for a Nigerian like me, or like you, or like you guys, it's so frustrating. But like I tell people all the time, that's why I tell my students or people who listen to me all the time, I say, you have a choice. It's either you are making excuses, or you are making money. And the reason why I say that is because if I wanted to make excuses, I have a long list of them to make. Like, I have a long list of excuses to make. But if I were to, like, sit down and make all those excuses, well, I would probably be somewhere right now, struggling with nothing to show for it. But because I just realized that, man, you can't make excuses and make money at the same time. You've got to choose one of them. So, and for me, I decided to actually make money instead of excuses. So anytime something comes up and then somebody is saying, I would have done this stuff, but, well, I just tell them, you are trying to make an excuse. So, as you can see, nothing has been so easy with this journey. Nothing whatsoever has been so easy. But the good thing is that today, like I tell people, today, right now, getting online in Nigeria and doing business online in Nigeria is far easier than it was 5 years or 10 years ago. Because right now, today, the internet provision in Nigeria is better. Today, payment solutions are springing up everywhere. It's easier for you to receive payments online. It's easier for you to pay online. We now have MasterCard, we have Visa, we have many of these card solutions that you can use. Today we have PayPal that you can use to make payments to as well. Today we have affiliate platforms. We have expertnaire, and then we have some other affiliate platforms too that are all over the place that you can use and get stuff to sell. Today we have e-commerce sites. We have Shopify. We have all this. you basically have all these solutions, you have all these things at your fingertips. So it's so easier today for you to use here. Today we have WhatsApp, we have all these social media platforms that you can basically get onto and get free traffic from all of these places. I mean, my God, it's just so really fantastic. And that is why I'm so happy whenever I see people, especially on expertnaire, who come on expert, and then they say, and then they say, I started my online business 2 months ago, and now I have made 500K. I've made 1 million. I'm just like, man, 1 million. It took me. I would probably say it took me like 4 years to make 1 million. It took me like 4 years to make before I can say I made 1 million. Like 4 years. So, but this time around, people will just come online, and then within a few 2 months, 3 months, they are already making 1 million. They are already making 2 million. Some are even making far more than that. So it's really like really exciting. So that's basically my story, and I hope you learned some things from it. So like I said before in the beginning, if you have questions, you can just DM Emmanuel Adiotu. He's the co-host of this host. You can just DM Emmanuel with your questions. Emmanuel, is there any question right now that I can just attend to?
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Yeah, sir. There are no questions yet. But I think there are no questions here for now. You can go on, sir. But you guys can just send in your questions. I've not received any yet, sir. Can you hear me?
Hello, Emmanuel.
Yeah, I can hear
I
you.
can't. Okay.
I said there are no questions yet, except I'm going to start receiving new questions. But there are no questions here at the moment, so you can just continue.
You are breaking up. You are breaking up.
I said there are no questions yet. I've not received any questions yet from anybody as regards what you've been saying. Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay. So okay, I don't know if there's anybody who actually kind of like has a question. If you have a question, you can just probably make a request for it. You can make a request that I can make you a speaker, so that's because right now I think I only have like a few minutes more, because this space is supposed to be for 2 hours, and I've pretty much spent I've, I've pretty much spent the entire time.
Okay.
So
Okay, so I think some people are now raising their hands, so I'll just make some of them I'll just make some of them speakers. So can I go ahead? Hello?
okay, Flip Ties is here. I think he wants to kind of like Flip Ties. Let me see. Okay, Flip Ties. You are not a speaker. It's like you want to say something or you want to ask a question.
Hey, Mr. T. Nice,
Yeah,
nice session.
Sir Flip Ties.
Nice session so far.
How
I,
are you
I'm
doing?
good. I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Uh, it's good to see you here.
Yeah, yeah. Nice one. I saw you online. I joined, and the little part I enjoyed it. I saw you talk about different industry that you have marketed. You have done marketing. I didn't hear you talk about music, and that's why my question is: there, have you done any marketing in the music space?
No, 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 no. I've not.
Okay, all right.
I've not done anything that has to do with music. You are the music. You are the music guru now.
All right, no problem. Then I have a product coming up soon. I'll reach out to you guys.
Okay. All right.
Nice one. Well
Thank you
done.
very
Well
much.
done. That's just what I want to say. That's it.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right. So that was Flip Ties, the fantastic number one producer. Okay. Who else wants to has
Okay,
something to speak?
okay, sir. I think Rahul has a question.
Okay. Okay, Rahul, you can ask a question.
Hello. Hey, hi. What's up? Good
Yeah. How
evening.
you doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. My name is Rahul, and I'm currently working as organic growth strategist in India, basically. So my
Okay.
question is from Toyin. We recently migrated our website, and I don't know, all of a sudden our traffic got down. So my question is, can we include basically influencer marketing in our project? We basically sell B2B soft kinds of wallboard software.
Okay. So you're basically saying that can you use influencer marketing for a B2B?
Yeah,
Okay. Definitely. Definitely, I think you can use influencer marketing. Basically influencer marketing is just basically paying somebody who has a lot of influence, somebody who has a lot of influence to help you market your business. So in this case, I think the main issue would actually be for you to find out the right person who can help you market your type of business. So, but then if I believe influencer marketing can work for B2B. Now, one thing about B2B, right, is that because sometimes when people say B2B, they kind of like forget that I usually tell you that B2B is actually H to H. So what I call H to H is human to human, because B2B is just all businesses are being run by human beings at the end of the day. So there's always somebody to talk to in any business. So B2B is kind of like human to human. So when you are using, if you want to use influencer marketing, it's all about you actually finding out who exactly in the other businesses can help you get the kind of results you want to get. And then you basically find somebody who is like an influencer that can help you meet that target, that can help you communicate that idea. So it can work, but it might not work. It might not work in the way an influencer markets a product that is meant for consumers. So it's going to be different from when he or she is marketing to businesses. So, but definitely it can work for businesses. Yeah. So, hello, Raul.
yeah. Just a gentle reminder. I'm into SEO, so basically, hello.
Yeah.
So just a gentle reminder. I'm into SEO, so I help small business owners to rank their site on Google.
Okay, you are into SEO. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I
Hello.
hear you.
I think I'm having some network issues.
Okay, so see, let me just give you my advice. So this is my advice. When it comes to, I'm just going to give you a normal marketing advice. So when it comes to marketing, if I want to market any business, what I will think about is, I will think about the best alternative of marketing the business. And if your business, if your offer is about SEO services, what I would ask is that, where do you find, what kind of people need SEO services, and then where do you find them? So that's what you should ask yourself. So because I like to use the illustration of fishing. Okay, or fishing. If, let's say, your customers are sharks now, for example, where do you find sharks, and how do you attract them? So in for your business, I don't really think influencer marketing will be my number one option of getting clients. I probably won't use influencer marketing. Instead of using influencer marketing, I'll probably use places like LinkedIn, going to places like LinkedIn. So there are different ways of actually getting, because in your case now, you're basically looking for clients. You're looking to market your services to clients. So I've probably been looking at places like LinkedIn, going to groups where we actually have people who are business owners who are looking for this kind of services. So that would be what I would be looking at doing, and then I will send them emails, send them our request on using many of these channels. So that's going to be what I will do. I won't. I won't go and be using influencer marketing. I'll just go and use like LinkedIn and use and find them. The best thing is just find them. Just in finding them. So who are your clients? Who are your potential clients? I don't really know a lot about SEO because I don't do it, but I know that businesses that are online, businesses who have a website, they want awareness, they want to be seen, they want that presence. So why don't you find those businesses and then why don't you send them an email? Send them an email and I believe you're going to get responses. Anyway, talking about sending emails, you won't just be sending emails anyhow. There is a format of actually sending out emails when you actually want the email to be responded to. So I can't be talking about that on this basis. So, but if you read about it online, you would probably get some information on that topic.
Okay, okay, sir. I have some questions in my DM, so I think I'll just read them out. So the first question is, can you hear me?
Emmanuel, I can't hear you. You are always breaking up.
Like I said I have some questions in my DM, so I think I'll just read them out. Can you hear me?
Okay, so question number one.
Yeah. First question is, what's the name of the author of the infopreneur products that you bought?
What is what?
The name of the author, the guy who authored the infopreneur
The
product
name
that you
of the
bought.
book is the name of the book is Multiple Streams of Income by Robert G. Allen.
Okay, multiple streams of income by Robert G.
Multiple
Allen.
Streams of Income. Multiple Streams of Income by Robert G. Allen. Yeah.
Okay, how do you become so good at email copy?
By practicing now. You become so good at everything by practicing. Abi, that's how you become good at everything now.
Okay, okay. Someone is asking that he wants to sell crude oil. Oh, how do you go about it? Okay, you don't need to answer that. How was it going?
You are breaking up. I can't hear what you are saying.
Can you hear me? So someone is asking, hello.
Emmanuel, I can't hear what you are saying. You are breaking up, please.
Okay, just
I
can
can't.
you hear me now, sir?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you
Hello,
now.
hello. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you
I'm
anymore.
doing fine.
All right, let me just I can see Benga Kiwale here. He wants to speak. Let me just allow Benga to speak. Yeah, Benga, you can speak. You are now a speaker now. You can talk. Hello, Mr. Benga.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Oh, great. So I've been following since the beginning of the space, and it's a story I will say I've not heard it before. So, but it's good hearing it all over again because it inspires. My own story is a bit different, but I kind of find out that most of the old guys started with Success Digest. It's kind of everybody has a route to Success Digest. We have Dr. Sonny to thank for that. We have Dr. Sonny to thank for
yeah,
that. Anyway, so I
yeah,
wanted to ask a question, which is because I feel a lot of people will also learn from it. All right, you said something about
yeah,
when you built a list of weight loss people they weren't buying, and you learned something
yeah.
from mass control that changed the whole narrative for that list. So yeah, a lot of guys now doing WhatsApp, social media to WhatsApp, but most old cats don't. They probably don't even do that. Basically, you want to build a squeeze page, send them to an email list, and keep following up with them. So now, what did you learn from Mass Control by Frank Ken that helped you turn a dead list or a dot list to a buying list?
Omo, this thing that you asked is long story. It's actually long story. Like, okay, I will try and answer your question, but it's not the kind of stuff that you can kind of like basically say at Basically, it's not a straight line thing. So let me just go back. Now, when I had a weight loss list, we were selling information products to them, and we were selling those stuff to them for like 3,500.
Okay.
And despite that low price, many people were still not buying. So in fact, no, I think we're selling for 5,000. They were not buying, and the only time they would buy would be when we will do like, I will now do like a promo. So I'll do like a promo. I'll say, okay, you know what, we are doing this promo. If you buy for 35 or 4K or something like that, and then we will get some small sales, and then they would just come in and then just go to all that stuff. Now you are asking me that what did I learn about mass control? From mass control that helped. Now what I learned from mass control that helped is that I learned about I learned about desire, about how you can whip people's desires to be hot, so that they really really want what you are offering. So I'm saying it's a long process, because it's like deep advanced marketing kind of stuff. So but what I now did was that I found somebody's story online. The guy's story was very very interesting, and I basically used the story, number one, to get the attention of my dead list, and then number two, I now created a campaign around the entire thing. That now, in this time around, it's about weight loss. That now actually kind of like aroused people's desire for the kind of products
Mm.
that we were selling. You understand?
Yeah.
So all this while we've been, now that's kind of like what your sales copy and stuff was supposed to do. But as at 2011, my sales copy was just there. You understand? My sales copy was just like, just normal average sales letter and stuff. So it wasn't really converting very well, right? Then the emails too that we sent to as well were just like, just funny looking emails and and stuff. So but when I went through the whole mass control kind of stuff, I come to learn how you can use stories, and how you can use a bit of extra information to make people desire something, at a much more higher. See, the thing about desire is that when people desire something, when people desire something, they go out of their way to get it. You understand?
Yeah.
So if I were to, like, like, summarize it now, there is this tweet that I usually post on my timeline from time to time. I said, how do you make people desire something? The first thing you do is that you package it. You give it a different packaging. You give it a really cool and nice packaging. So that one works. Then number two, you make it scarce. Now people always long for stuff that is scarce, that is not like usual stuff. Then you give it social proof. Now social proof is a big one. So for this my stuff that I told you about, the whole mass control weight loss thing,
Yeah.
one of the things that helped us was social proof. So what did I do? What I did was that I wrote an article, and I allowed the article to have a comment section where people can actually like comment and do stuff. So when I wrote the article, and then people started commenting in the comments section about how, oh, this article is so nice, I enjoyed it, I do all this stuff. Then some people who have actually purchased the product before came to actually post their comments to the in there that, oh, the stuff I bought for you too, I loved it, I enjoyed it. One woman said in her, because I remember her testimony now. She said that in her church, that people have been asking her, what did you use to lose weight? So there were all these things in like the comment section. So what I'll just do is that I will send our email subscribers to that article, and then they will see all of those plenty nice comments. It's just like when people come on Twitter these days, and then they come on Twitter and then they are saying expertnaire, oh, expertnaire here, expertnaire here, this, that. It's social proof. Social proof is like one of the, I'll probably say the number one weapon right now, if I were to kind of like pick one,
Mm.
that creates that desire for people. that gets people to actually say, okay, I want to try this. Because we as human beings, sometimes we are kind of like reluctant about trying things until when we now see other people like us trying it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
understand? It's just like, like all these iPhone and all these cool phones and all that stuff. When a new brand into the phone industry now, and nobody knows them from Adam. You
Yeah.
understand? And then they just come, and then they say, oh, we have this new phone. It's called Boha, and even if Boha is even like far better than the iPhone, people won't go and use it until when they begin to now see every other person, especially people that they
Yeah.
respect, people
That's
that they
right.
trust, who are now using that phone. So at that point in time, everybody now wants to use the new phone. So social proof is kind of like one of the main tools, one of the main triggers. We call them sales triggers too. One of the main sales triggers that I used back then, and which I still like to use, because social proof. Once people just see people, human beings have this monkey follow kind of like
Yeah.
thinking. So when they see that, oh, this is where people are moving, even if it's actually in the wrong way. If people are running, for example, let's say there's a gun now, bah, 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 and then people are running, even if they are running in the wrong direction,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that this is where people are running,
You follow.
most people are going to run to that direction, and that's just social stuff. So as an internet marketer, if you know if you know how to trigger social proof or how to engineer social proof, it's going to help you in your marketing. So let me just give you one more example before I stop. So there is this story that I read. I don't know if it is true or not, but I read it online. So there was a guy who wanted to open a nightclub. So he wanted to open a nightclub in New York, but he wanted to open this nightclub. The area where he was opening it, there were so many other nightclubs in that area. So what he did was that he set up the nightclub, and then what he now did was that he now went to pay people. He now went to pay different people, and then what these people will now do is that every night you now see this crowd of people.
In front of you.
You now see this crowd of people in the front of the
Yeah.
nightclub, people who are struggling to enter, and then the what do you call it, all these guys, what do you call them, these bodyguards,
Bouncers.
uh yeah, all these bouncers, they are bouncing people off, and then there is all this drama and all of that stuff, and the news just went around that, oh, there is this nightclub in town that people are, crowd and all that stuff, and guess what happened is just that people wanted to know exactly what is happening. Like, oh, why would people be trying to rush and actually have access to that environment? It is the same thing that happens with all those launches of the first iPhones, where you will see crowd of people waiting in
Yeah.
line trying to get the new iPhone, all of that stuff. It's just social proof. Now, majority of it is even being engineered. Some of it are not being engineered. Some of it is just based on the fact that a product is good, and then customers are just out there just talking about it and all of that stuff. So, but I would say that when you have a good product, if you don't actually work on the social proof for it, well, you won't actually get enough sales that would even get people to be talking about it. So social proof, people talking about your product, people talking about how it has helped them, it's like a really, really big one about when it comes to all of this stuff. So there are other things that we use, reciprocity, all of these things actually kind of like, they are the things that helped to make the weight loss campaign and stuff to pick up. So that's it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
All
thanks
right.
for sharing the story. I learned a lot, and I guess a lot of people will learn from you sharing the story of how you improve
Yeah,
conversion.
definitely, definitely. Thanks for asking that
Oh, you're
question.
welcome.
Yeah. All right. So it's 21. It's 9:15 already. That is like 15 minutes past the 2 hours I'm supposed to use. I would like to say thanks to everyone who attended this spaces. I think we have about more than 1,900 people or so on this space, and I think somehow you've learned one or two things from my story, from what I have shared, from your questions we've answered. And I think these things would actually go a long way in helping you out in your personal life and in your business too as well. So by tomorrow we're going to have another spaces by 7 p.m. again. We're going to have another session, and I hope to see you guys. All right, that'll be all for now. Bye.
Bye, sir.